Колеги, вітання в українському.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We continue our working day, and the topic of the next press briefing, U.S. military assistance to Ukraine, current situation and prospects. Our speakers are Loretta Sanchez, member of the U.S. House of Representatives, Romanov, General Director of Ukroboronprom, and Ihor Pasternak, founder of AEROS Company, U.S.
I'm Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez. I am a 20-year member of the House of Representatives of the United States Congress. In those 20 years, I have sat on the Armed Services Committee. I'm a senior member with respect to military and homeland security for the United States. So I would like to begin by thanking the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, the Ministry of Defense, UOP, and the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine for hosting me on this trip. I believe that the relationships that we are building, even in this short time that I am here, will help me to go back to the Congress and talk to my colleagues about the situation here in Ukraine and how we can continue to assist the Ukrainian people in their desire for sovereignty and for their, if you will, freedoms. So I have just arrived from Brussels, where I was at the NATO parliamentary group meeting that we had. I will tell you that it was a very interesting weekend in Brussels. Generally, I'm at the Munich Security Council during that weekend, but because they both fell together, I chose to go to Brussels, being as I am a voting member for the United States in that parliamentary group. Of course, the discussion turned to some of the discussions and speeches that were given in Munich in particular, and the discussion turned to Ukraine and the aggressive behavior, quite frankly, of Mr. Putin and Russia, in particular with respect to the Eastern Front here in Ukraine. And of course, a very alarming week for us with some of the words that were said towards the NATO alliance, which of course we all know is a defense alliance, and with respect to comments about the West now being in a sort of Cold War with respect to Russia, none of which we in the United States believe. As you know, we Americans are freedom-loving people, and I believe, as a 20-year member of Congress, that we seek to ensure that other countries have those freedoms and that its people are able to achieve the dreams that they have. And we would much more prefer to put our money and our emphasis and our relationships in a very positive way rather than to face any type of conflicts or wars, if you will. So the President Obama, just released his budget for the United States, and we see an increase in there, in particular with respect to NATO and with respect to assistance in curbing back some of the aggression that we have seen from Russia, and in particular to Ukraine, about $1 billion worth of direct assistance, some of the assistance that we've been providing already, training of troops, helping Ukraine build its military so that it can defend itself, and of course, many of the technology issues that we face and that we use in particular to defend such a country as Ukraine. I also want to let you know that with respect to Ukraine, I'm also a co-sponsor of HR 4305, the Ukrainian Warfighters Assistance Act, which this proposal within the House of Representatives is for specific equipment support to be supplied to Ukraine. And it's been requested by the Ministry of Defense here, by National Security, by the Defense Council, the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine. And I believe that it's in the interest of America and Americans to call out to Putin and to make him understand that he has broken international laws and that aggression of this type is not acceptable, and that we will work with our allies and keep our friendship here with Ukraine and help in any way that we can with respect to your sovereignty and your ability to have your lands unoccupied by Russia and its troops. So I also wanted to call out, because I had the opportunity last night to meet with the head of our California National Guard. As some of you may know, I'm a Californian, and our National Guard has been in a training capacity with the Ukrainian National Guard. We've been working together for over 23 years now, and we will continue that training relationship and modify it, change it, increase it as is needed to ensure the future of Ukraine. I also want to note that I have Ihor Pasternak right here next to me, CEO of AEROS, which is a company that we have in California, high tech, and helping. Of course, we're here to work on surveillance equipment for Ukraine, especially on its border. And I'm sure that Mr. Pasternak will talk a little bit about that in this press conference. And of course, Romanov's leadership with respect to building the capacity of technology and the military-industrial complex that we see being built up here in Ukraine, not only for sovereignty issues with respect to Ukraine, but we hope many of the countries here in Europe. When we look at this U.S. technology, we see technology transfer going on, and we see the production capabilities, the jobs being built here. We're very grateful that you are spending every day working very hard on that. You know, with all the threats that we see in the world, with ISIL and the aggression sometimes of, let's say, China in the Eastern Sea, sometimes people believe that we Americans maybe aren't focused on what is happening here in Ukraine or what Mr. Putin is doing. And I would like to reassure everybody that there are many of us in Congress who are working and keeping an eye and working towards helping Ukraine and the rest of Europe to ensure that the aggressive posture that we have seen from Mr. Putin does not go unchecked. So let me end with that, and who wants to take it next? Maybe Roman.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Loretta and Ihor for our good partnership and for our good cooperation. I would like to support what was already said and to confirm the information which you heard. Some 6 months ago, Ihor and me in this very room held a press conference about the future equipment of the border service with the systems, surveillance systems, which would allow us to defend our borders more effectively. And today, we are able to say that the U.S. systems had already arrived to Ukraine. They are in the customs checkpoint now, and if some journalists express their interest in seeing this containers, the systems, so we can organize this visit to the customs checkpoint. The work with the surveillance systems will be held in 2 stages. First, they will be supplied. This will be the first stage. The second stage will be assembly of those systems, and at this very stage, our enterprise, Ukroboronprom, will join this work. I would like to echo on your Loretta's words about the variety of options for support. There is a good saying that if you wish to assist somebody in getting food, please do not give him a fish, give him a rod and to catch this fish. I think that this is what the U.S. government is doing today, and in assisting Ukraine, and we are very grateful for this position, and we also believe that actually with these systems we are doing the same. You are providing us with the systems which will allow us to get new competences in the sphere which is new for us, and this provides us with the opportunity to involve some production facilities where Ukrainian and American experts may work together, and engineers who will be involved in this process, in assembling process, they will master new skills. I would like to share one more good news, that the trend about the road instead of fish is becoming true. And by the way, I would like to point your attention that our intentions and expectations now are becoming true. When we mentioned 6 months ago that we expect to have this very effective systems, today we see that the special grounds are now in course of construction during the border, and we are expecting to have those systems installed rather soon. I mentioned about 2 stages in the whole project. First is supply, the second is assembling, and the third stage will be transfer of production, transfer of technology, and further production of these systems here in Ukraine. I believe that this will be very beneficial for Ukraine, because the output, this new output will bring new taxes, new revenues to the budget and create new jobs. So thank you very much for your attention. Good afternoon. Thank you very much to all of you, and specifically to Loretta, who came just for 1 day, and Loretta remains sleepless during almost 3 nights, and I'm very grateful for this sacrifice, because I believe that the U.S. national security is very important sphere, and that's why Loretta works too much. And due to her huge efforts, the supply took place, happened. The supply finally happen, and bureaucracy is strong not only in Ukraine, sometimes it is strong everywhere, and we have to overcome this bureaucracy. I would like to thank to Ukroboronprom, to the National Security and Defense Council, the National Border Service of Ukraine. I used to work for many nations and many countries, and I was very much surprised having faced high professional level here in Ukraine. And as Roman immediately said to me, be sure that we will overcome bureaucracy very quickly. And there are a lot of people here who are ready to work and to overcome useless bureaucracy. Roman mentioned that we are going to transfer technology. We never did this in other countries, but here we have seen huge potential, and that's why now we are launching this new project, and maybe in future we will be able to present some other projects, and you will be impressed, I think. This project took 6 months. Just only 6 months. I think that further projects will take up to 2-3 months, and maybe in the future we'll be able to carry out projects during one night. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Loretta. Thank you, Roman and Ihor. Now we open our Q&A session. Please don't forget to mention your names. I will ask a question in Ukrainian because this is about Ukroboronprom and Madam Loretta also. I'm Solonyuk from Ukrainian TV. What technologies does Ukraine now accept from the United States, and what chances do we have to get the technologies and cooperate in the sphere of the missiles? For example, Ukraine is now reviving this production. As of today, we speak about technologies which allows to identify the current situation at the border of the country. Because for us, territorial integrity starts with the defense of borders, and defense of borders is closely dependent on the surveillance over situation at the border. Maybe Ihor may explain this in more detail. Also, we will have a number of projects which Ihor mentioned. This will be the projects of more higher level than this. They are closer to the sphere which you mentioned. And today I am ready to confirm that at this very stage we would not like to disclose many details about those projects, but believe me, this will be high-tech projects and dealing with the products which are not very widespread around the globe. Why we are so grateful today to Loretta? Because this is a precedent. This is a good precedent. Just imagine that within 6 months, the U.S. party, with its strict rules as to licensing, as to transfer of technologies, as to transfer of equipment, they managed to provide Ukraine with the equipment and technologies. About the projects dealing with the intercontinental with the tactical missiles, we continue our work and we continue negotiations, and we are very grateful that Loretta found a time slot between Munich and Brussels to visit Kiev just for 1 day to present, I think, our huge success, and to mention that we expect to have further projects, and we expect that Madam Loretta will promote in America the need for similar projects, and that we will make a full use of these opportunities. Thank you.
The first thing we have to realize is that the United States, as well as NATO, is concerned about the integrity, the territorial integrity of Ukraine. And the U.S., we view Ukraine as an incredibly important ally for us. So when we talk about technologies and building what is an industrial complex for military purposes, because the transfer, nothing ever happens as fast as you want it to happen. So one of the great things that we have found out about Ukraine is its ability to adapt and build its own industry very quickly and very proficiently, which is great. Means that we can concentrate on looking at what systems are needed for Ukraine and on transferring that technology knowledge, but that it can actually be produced and built right here in Ukraine. That's a very big positive for this country. But on the spectrum of the time that it takes, we began, of course, the United States began by training, helping to build a military for Ukraine. So we've been giving that assistance for a while. And it's always on a continuum. So that would be the first. The second might be defense posture for Ukraine, which I think when we look at the system today, very technologically advanced, but is really a defense system. It's to know what is going on the borders of Ukraine. And that is incredibly important for this country. And then we talk about arming, and then we talk about bigger and more complex armament and systems. And we haven't gotten to all the way to the end of the spectrum, but I think the relationships that we are building, the ability to push through so quickly, what we will see deployed here in the not too distant future, points to a very good relationship between all those agencies in Ukraine with our ability to cut through the red tape in Washington, D.C., and with a continued desire by the American people to help the Ukrainian people protect themselves. And I think that's a very positive story. We are with you, and we want to understand what more you need, and I want to be able to facilitate that need. And so I think today is a very good day.
Колеги, чи є ще питання?
Dear colleagues, for the questions. Zablotsky Volodymyr, Difference Express magazine. First of all, I would like to thank to all the conference participants for provided information. And now my question. Since this is the first step in our cooperation at this high level, I understand that the systems are about surveillance at the border, that is keeping control over the border. About the lethal weapons, whether you expect this could be done, I mean lethal weapons, and about marine forces of Ukraine, whether you plan something in this area, because now we are not very much defended from the sea. If you allow me to answer, as for the marine border, the sea border of Ukraine, and protection of Ukraine from the sea, how we can defend the country. We are thinking how to do this. We have revived several projects which existed in the past. Ukroboronprom a week ago held a joint session with the National Academy of Sciences, where we made a review of all the practical opportunities for our National Academy of Sciences and the capacity of our National Academy of Sciences in several spheres, and this would allow us to reveal the loopholes in our potential, in our capacities, maybe because of some materials, maybe because of some resources, maybe because of some technologies. And current project is a good demonstration how those loopholes may be eliminated due to assistance of our partners, and this is good precedent, showing also a good logistics. Ukroboronprom tries to apply a very careful approach to our defense area, and we are very keen to create this marine defense for the country. As for the project which we discussed today during the press conference, this will be the whole complex, and Ukraine never had similar systems, and you mentioned the wall project. It is uncomparable. When we received suggestion from our U.S. partners, our delegation immediately visited the site and had seen that these were the most high-tech technologies, the most up-to-date technologies, and the border service experts immediately accepted it as the most efficient project for the surveillance on the border, and we decided to implement it immediately. Those surveillance systems could be additionally supplied with other controlling systems, and here we are not just monitoring the border. We are also able to save human resources. We will be able to modernize our response units at the border. Thus, through application of the up-to-date technologies, will be able to improve the situation. TV channel 24. My question is about the deadline for launching those systems which you mentioned, whether we have enough experts to work with them, to maintenance them. I will try to answer. The first system had already arrived at Boris. We expect to show it on Thursday or on Friday in course of our forum. As in line with the contract which was signed between my company and Ukroboronprom, we will have a team in Ukraine who will carry out the maintenance, technical maintenance, and who will train Ukrainian experts. At this initial stage, our experts from California will also stay directly in that border guards units. That's not the primary training. The initial training was held back in California, but it's not just supply of the system, not just starting production of this system here, but we will train those military personnel who will service the system, and also we will train those Ukrainian civilian people who will maintain the system. Also, I would like to inform you that we carried out the audit of our capacities inside the Ukroboronprom, and we have selected 4 enterprises which will produce those systems, 1 in Khmelnytsky, 1 in Ternopil, and 2 Kiev enterprises. Thus, 4 Ukroboronprom enterprises will be involved in production of those systems. When we will see those systems working on the border, and what part of the border they will control. Well, I know the answer, but I'm not sure I can disclose this information. They will be launched very quickly. If you allow me, the systems should be installed at some foundation. That is, just concrete foundation should be made. Then the assembled system should be mounted on this concrete foundation, and we the equipment had already arrived. We have started our assembly works, but technically, how quick they could be launched? I do not wish to lose my tongue afterwards. We will start from the sea border of Ukraine, and then we will move in other direction. So ask your questions at higher level, not to me. When the systems will be installed, there will be no secret. As of today, we wish to carry out our work the most efficiently, but please allow us to keep this in secret for a while. When the system is installed, we will immediately inform you. Our military command and our military in general, they won't like us to disclose classified information. So I think that later our border guard command will come and explain. We have defended our borders. The systems will work. Thank you very much for the press conference. Thank you, Madam Loretta, for your visit. Thank you, Mr. Ihor, and we wait for you in Intercontinental Hotel on February 18th. We expect to have a lot of guests, and you will have many companies with whom we plan to implement similar projects. It will be like an investment forum of the defense industry. Thank you.